Hello and welcome to the Vic's Punjabi Tutorials tutorial for the Punjabi alphabet or the penti Akhar. In this series of videos, you will learn how to read, write, and speak the language of Punjabi, which is spoken in the northwestern state of India called Punjab. Enjoy! Okay, so our first letter is Ura. Now when you make any letter, you have to make a line on top. Like this. Yeah. So with Ura, you just kind of make a little 3 shape. Then you make a line straight up. And then you curve it like this. Yeah. And that's Ura. Now, Ura can make a U sound or an O sound. Now, an English word for the U sound could be mule, which you could write in Punjabi like this. See, that's Ura. And for the O sound, it could be okra, which means bindi in English. Okay. And up to Punjabi words could be ullu for the U sound, and for the O sound, onkar, which is actually very common. It's especially in Sikh Bhat. It's ek onkar. So yeah, ullu means owl. And onkar, I think it means something kind of like God. Our next letter is Era. Era can make an A or a compound UH sound. Era is also one of the few letters that does not have a top. So yeah, that's not very good. Yeah, that's Era. Now, Era can make an A sound, like I said before, or a UH sound. And in English, like before, I'm going to have an English word for each sound and a Punjabi word. So an English word for the A sound could be R, and for the UH sound, UH is the phonetic sound. It's not actually how it's used in words. So under, so yeah, under. And the Punjabi words could be, a good Punjabi example is pyar. And a good Punjabi example for the UH sound is Anar, which means pomegranate. And Anar means pomegranate. So yeah, that's Ada. Okay, so our next letter is Edie. With Edie, you make a line like always. Then you kind of make a backwards 5. Then you just make a little diagonal line like this. So that's Edie. Edie can make an I or an E sound. So an English word for the I sound could be ink. Ink, and for the E sound, it could be eat. 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 Now, for the Punjabi, the I sound could be it. It means brick. And for E, the Punjabi word could be pai. Which means man. So yeah. Okay. So our next letter is Sasa. Sasa can make an S sound or a soft C sound. Okay, that's Sasa. Like I said, S and soft C. Now, a word for the S sound could be slate. Slate. And for the soft C, it could be circle. Now, I know there's also a hard C, but I mean this C, circle, and in Punjabi that's circle, and and for both the soft C and the S, a word could be sap, which means snake in Punjabi. Sap. So yeah, that's Sasa. Okay, so our next letter is Haha. Haha makes an H sound. So you make the line, and then you make a line like this, and then you kind of make a J but curl it a lot more. That's haha. Haha can make an H sound. Now for English word, you could have hug. Hug. And for Punjabi, you could have hathi. Hathi. So, yeah, that's hathi. Okay, so our next letter is Kakaa. Kakaa can make a K or a hard C sound. So with Kakaa, you just start here and make a kind of a 2 type thing. So yeah, like I said before, Kakaa makes a K or hard C sound. And for the K sound, a word could be kid. And for the hard C, again, circle, but in this case, it's the second C, this one. And circle is spelled like this. So yeah, and then the Punjabi word could be kan, sorry. Kan means ear. So yeah, that's Kakaa. Okay, so our next letter is Kakaa. Kakaa is one of the few letters that does not have a top. It makes a compound KH sound. So yeah, that's Kakaa. It makes a KH sound. So, an English word which is actually taken from Hindi and Punjabi, khaki or khaki, like the pants. And so yeah. Khaki, a khaki, yeah. Well, you say khaki in English, but it's in Punjabi it's spelled khaki. So yeah, and for a Punjabi word could be khali, which means empty. Khali. So yeah. Okay, so our next letter is Gaga. Gaga makes a G sound. A hard G. So you just make a line straight down, curl it like this, kind of like a music note or a golf club, and then you just make a line like this. That's Gaga. Gaga makes a G, hard G sound. Hard G. And an English word could be very simple, go. Go. And a Punjabi word could be gend, which means ball. gained. So yeah. Okay. So our next letter is Gaga. Gaga is a compound, kind of a GH sound. So yeah, here it is. So Gaga, you make a shape that's kind of like a W, and then you make a line straight down. That's Gaga. Gaga makes a kind of compound GH sound. It's not 100% accurate, but it's close. Now, a close English word is ghost, because you don't say ghost, but you don't say ghost. It's kind of in the middle, so it's kind of close. And Gaga makes a g or g sound. Ghost. And a Punjabi word could be, say, Akhar, which means home. Okay, so our next letter is a very rarely used letter, and it's also a very nasal letter, called nganga. Nganga, you just make a 5 kind of thing, and then curl the end. Now, a close phoneticization would be N with a nasal dot on top, but there's no English word, or any romanization word, for that matter, that has the nganga kind of sound in it. So, here's the Punjabi example. The Punjabi example is kangan, which means bangles. And the English romanization of that is this. Kangan, which like I said before, it means bangle. So yeah. So our next letter is cha-cha. Cha-cha is a compound CH sound. And so, yeah, it's a CH sound. And when I do a compound sound, I make parentheses around it. And a word for English could be chocolate. Which in Punjabi you would write it like this. Cha-cha. Chocolate. And a Punjabi word would be chamcha, or spoon. So yeah. Okay. So our next letter is similar to cha-cha. It's cha-cha. It's like cha-cha, except you add a sound at the end. So you make it like this. So yeah. It's phoneticized like this. And there's no English example that has cha-cha or any Romanized example. And so the Punjabi word is chat. Chat means roof. Yeah, and it means roof, like I said. So yeah. So our next letter is Jaja. Jaja is similar to Sasa in that it kind of has a similar template. Jaja makes a J sound. And an English word would be jug. And a Punjabi word would be Jawan, which means young. So yeah. So our next letter is kind of a mixture of Jaja and Chacha. It's Jaja. So with Jaja, you make this little triangle thing, and then you make kind of a Kakaa. The closest romanization I can give you is JH. And like I said before, there's no English example. And the Punjabi example is Chanda, which means flag. Sorry, that was bad. Chanda. Yeah. Okay. Our next letter is Danca. It's one of the easiest ones to write. It's just a backwards 5. So Danca is a hard kind of T. And a word in English is tank. Tank, which in Punjabi would be like this. Tank. And a Punjabi example would be topi, which means hat. So yeah, that's Danca. Okay, now our next letter is Tata. Now Tata, it's kind of it's a Danca, but you just add a at the end. Now I always like to think of it as a cherry from a branch. That's how I think of it. And it's a compound T, H sound. Tata. And an English example could be Thailand. And in Punjabi, you would write it like this. Land. So yeah, that's Thailand. And a good Punjabi example could be Thand, which means cold. And that's spelled like this. So yeah, that's Tata. So our next letter is Dada. Dada makes a hard D sound. So you make kind of a 3 and kind of make what I like to call a little beard. And it's a D sound. And in English, an English example would be dad. And Punjabi example would be Daddu, which means frog. Yeah. Daddu means, and in English you would write it like this. So yeah. Our next letter is Dada. Dada is kind of a DH sound, but not exactly a DH sound. So you make the top, and then you kind of start off like you're making a cha-cha, but then you add this. And you don't close it all the way. And I guess you could probably phoneticize it like this. And that little dot means it's really hard and accented. And an English word, it's taken from Punjabi, but I guess you could call it English, is taba or dhaba, if you wanted to say it like English. And in Punjabi, you would write it like this. And usage in Punjabi could be tol, which is a special type of drum, which is used in Punjab. Tol. Okay, so our next letter is Rana. With Rana, you make a little diagonal line right here, and then you make kind of a Danca right here. Rana is a very nasal and a tongue flicking noise. Rana. You flick your tongue against the top of your mouth. So, I can't really phoneticize it, but I can give you Punjabi, and there's no English equivalent, so here's the Punjabi usage. Pani. We all know what that is. Water. Pani. So, yeah. Our next letter is Tata. Tata is also a very simple letter to draw. It's pretty much a 3. Now, Tata is a form of T, but it's really soft. You just flick your tongue. You touch your tongue to your front teeth, and just, it's a T sound. So, there's not really there's a Spanish equivalent, not an English equivalent. In Spanish, you is tu. So, and I guess in Punjabi you would write it like this. And a Punjabi usage of tata is tir, which means arrow, like in bow and arrow. So yeah. Okay, so our next letter is tata. Tata is similar to Kakaa. So you make the top, and then you pretty much just make a Kakaa. So the thing about tata is that it's kind of like th, but it pretty much is th, but you say it differently. It's ta, not ta. So I guess you could, if you were speaking in an Indian accent, every th in English would become ta. So like earth, if you were saying earth, earth. So I guess earth would be like this. And a Punjabi usage of tata would be thali, which means kind of a platter. So yeah. So yeah, here it is. Okay. So our next letter is Dada. With Dada, you make a line, and then you kind of make something similar to cha-cha and tada. So Dada makes a light D sound. It's very similar to tata in that you just touch your tongue to your teeth. And a close English word could be the, but you can also pronounce it the. Some people pronounce it the, some people pronounce it the. It's either way. But it's still spelled like this. And a good Punjabi word could be dand, which means teeth. That's a bad A. So yeah, dand, and that means teeth. So our next letter is nana. Nana is similar to tata, but it's not closed all the way. It's kind of like a grabber claw. That's how I like to think of it. And nana makes an N sound. An English example could be nut. Like nut and almonds, cashews. And a Punjabi example could be nimbu, which means lemon. So yeah, nimbu, you spell it like this. Nimbu. And that like nimbu in English is like this. And nimbu means lemon, like I said before. So that's nana. Okay, so our next letter is Dada. With Dada, you make a little papa with a top, pretty much. Dada is a very light DH, so I'm going to make it in lowercase because it's very light. It's not like Dada, and it's not like it's not Dada, but it's Dada. So there's no English. I guess there is. I mean, it's used in both Punjabi and English. Sadhu, which means sage. And a Punjabi example is Gaga. It means thread. Okay, our next letter is Papa. Papa makes a P sound. It's pretty much a Dada without a top. And Papa makes a P sound. And an English word could be pig. And a Punjabi word with Papa could be pug, which means turban. Our next letter is Papa. Papa makes a P sound, but with a really pronounced sound at the end. So there's no English equivalent for Papa, but I can at least phoneticize it. And a Punjabi example of Papa could be pull. Which means flower. And you don't always have to write it the way it's written phonetically. Like, it's not always written the way it is phonetically. So yeah, that's Papa. Our next letter is Baba. Baba makes a B sound. The way I like to remember is it's just a backwards Baba with a longer back. Now, Baba, yeah, it makes a B sound. And an English word could be ball. And a Punjabi word could be body, which means window. Oh, that's bad. So yeah, that's Baba. Okay, our next letter is Bhabaa. Bhabaa makes a sound that's very similar to BH, but it's pretty much BH. So, yeah, like I said, Bhabaa makes a BH sound. And a similar but not quite word with the Bhabaa sound is abhor. If you can't say pa, you can say bha, BH, just. And a Punjabi example could be Bhangra, which is a traditional Punjabi dance. So yeah, and Bhangra is spelled like. Okay, so our next letter is Mama. It's very similar to Sasa, except it doesn't have a top in the middle. So yeah, that's Mama. Mama makes an M sound. An English word that you could use with Mama is mom. And in Punjabi, Ma. So yeah, that's Mama. Our next letter is Yaya. Yaya makes a Y sound. So an English word could be yo-yo. And a Punjabi example could be yaar, which means friend. Okay, so our next letter is Rara. Rara is kind of like 1/3 of a Sasa. Rara makes a light R sound. An English word could be roll. And a Punjabi example could be rola, which means noise. So yeah, that's Rara. Our next letter is Lala. Lala makes an L sound. And a good English example is lamp. In Punjabi, it's written like this. a good Punjabi word is laddu. Laddu is a traditional sweet. And you spell it like this. So yeah, that's lalla. Now our next letter is Vava. Vava makes a V sound, a V and a W sound. It's not really either because it's not, like I said, it's not really either. You can use a W sound when you use a V sound in Punjabi, so it's kind of interchangeable. So a good English word would be video. And a good Punjabi example would be wal, which means hair. Now our next letter is Rada. Rada has no English equivalent. So you pretty much make a tata and then give it these little two little tails. Rada I can't phoneticize in English, but I'll give you a Punjabi example. A good Punjabi example is ladka, which means boy. You can say ladka. Actually, when you phoneticize rara, you can actually phoneticize it with diacritical marks. So yeah, that's rara. Now our next letter is shasha. Shasha is the first bindi letter. A bindi letter is a letter, but it has a little dot here, which is called a bindi. It augments the letter in some way. This is a sasa with a bindi. It's also called sase pair bindi, which means dot in the foot of sasa. And what it does to sasa is it makes it shasha. Shasha is a compound sh sound. And a good English word for shasha is shell. And a good Punjabi example for shasha is shisha, which means mirror. And that's shasha. Our next bindi letter is kha. It's a softer version of Kakaa. It's pretty much KHH. And there's no I guess you could say there's an English word. It's brought over from the Middle East. It's the last name, Khan. In the Middle East and India. And a Punjabi example for kha is khabar, which means news. Our next bindi letter is Gaga pair bindi. Gaga pair bindi makes a gh sound. And it's kind of G-H, and it's really subdued. And when I do this, it means it's subdued. So there's kind of a Punjabi, an English equivalent. There's a place in Egypt called Giza, and there's a place in Palestine and Israel called the Giza. So I guess we could use that. And there's another pair bindi. And a good Punjabi example is gulab, which means rose. So yeah, and then So our next letter is Jajje pair bindi, also known as Zaza. Zaza makes a Z sound. A good English word for this would be zebra. And a good Punjabi word would be zor, which means power and strength. So yeah. Our next letter is Papa pair bindi, or also known as Fafa. A Fafa makes an F sound. And a good Punjabi English word would be fun. And a good Punjabi word would be fauji, which means soldier. And our next and final letter is Lalle pair bindi, or Larla. It's a very hard letter to find in Punjabi, but it is there. Now there's no English equivalent for Larla. But there is one word that I found that has Lalle pair bindi in it. It's Pila, which means yellow. Ta-da! So thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, and don't forget to hit that like button.